Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Welcome to the first ever Bobby Couto Show live, morning live show. Here we are. Yeah, where I am. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to test out a couple of things and just to kind of see how this is all going to work out. I've never broadcasted on YouTube before, so this is a first for all of us, including the Bobby Couto Show. So the goals and hopes of this will be that maybe moving forward, we can get some daily content in and really talk about some of the current events that are happening all around us. So with that said, let's get started. So stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Bobby Couto Show live. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Listen, we're going to work on a lot of things. One including the audio intro, along with some interactive tools. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody for making the time to come here today. Today is the 4th of January. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to your family. I hope all is well. I hope your holidays were fantastic and amazing. Just wanted to really touch base with everybody and discuss a couple of things with me, with my future, what things are looking like for me. And to be quite frank and honest with you, I'm very uncertain. I do not know what the future holds for me. I do not know what the future holds for the longevity of the podcast. Ultimately, is this something that we're going to take to the next level? Or is this something that we might just decide to do other things? That I'm not sure of, and I'm going to work very, very hard for you and for the fans of the show to make sure that we can, in fact, continue and do what we love most. And to me, really, it's broadcasting, it's sharing information, it's realizing that I have a voice, and I'm hoping that you are receptive to that voice and understanding that the information that I deliver typically and is always from the heart. I don't normally talk about things that don't interest me. Usually it's things that interest me, and I want to share that with all of you. So again, I'm so glad you're here today, and I won't lie, a little nervous and trying to make this all work, and understanding that this is obviously the beginning of hopefully a long-term future of podcasting and providing entertainment for you, and for anything that you're really into. So with that said, let's start it off. Let's hit the ground running. Let's talk a little bit about. You know what? Let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about Antonio Brown. I think if anybody watched over the weekend, Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing the New York Jets, and there was a situation where Antonio Brown took off his gear, threw his pads down and his shirt into the audience, and kind of walked off the field. It was funny because you heard a lot of information in regards to CTE, and somebody should help this guy, and he's not right, and he needs help, and he needs look, I don't know that it's psychological, or I don't know that he's somebody that just doesn't. I mean, you know what? Forgive me for saying this out loud, but I feel like I can relate. I can relate with Antonio Brown. I feel like in this situation, which is a perfect example, if you read the news and you really got the information that was going on, which the NFL is trying to suppress because they don't want you to know, that Antonio Brown was literally 2 passes away from a $1 million bonus. So he needed to get on the field, and he needed to, because obviously the playoffs are coming, and you got to get these initiatives completed, or bonuses completed before the playoffs start, because the playoffs technically aren't regular season. So he had to be on the field for a couple of plays, and for whatever reason, coach wasn't putting him on the field. Coach wasn't throwing him out there, and literally he had to throw two catches and would have got that $1 million bonus. So I think, that is really what stirred him up. If you go back into history and you look at Antonio Brown and his situation with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and even with the Patriots, he's been the topic of controversy. He really has. One, because he's extremely talented and does amazing things with the football, and two, I mean, from what I from listen, I don't know Antonio Brown, so I'm just telling you from my own personal experience. He doesn't seem like the kind of person to take anybody's shit, and I think that's exactly what's happened here. I think maybe he felt that he was being taken advantage of and decided, I'm all set, I'm walking out. And I don't know that people know how to relate with that or even know how to deal with that because, when people, uh, you know, people are okay. People are okay with you going out of your way, um, as long as it benefits them, right? That's people are okay with that. But as soon as you turn around and it becomes an inconvenience to you, and you're like, hey, listen, I don't know that I can do that anymore, then everything changes. Then people change, attitudes change, people get different ideas, people don't. They're not as understanding to your situation, right? And then all of a sudden they start calling you crazy, and they're saying that you got CTE and that you're running off the look. I will stand with Antonio Brown, and if in fact the information that I have been receiving is accurate and true, then the man's right. Then the man's right. He should have been given the opportunity to get on the field and to earn the bonuses that he was promised. You know what I mean? Like, what? Again, very similar to my situation. In my employer, when I sat down with my director and I applied for the job, I told him straight out, I'm like, listen, don't look. Give me a year. Let me show you. Let me show you that I'm worth it. And then a year from now, we're gonna rejoin. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna reconvene, and we're gonna see if it is in fact I was able to deliver on the things that I said, right? And if that's the case, then compensation should come along with that, And I believe at that first initial sit down conversation, it's acceptable. Oh yes, all right, that sounds great. But then after a year, when you're sitting down and you're going, hey, look, the proof is here. Look, you see what I've done for you. You see how the company is now successful and how you're doing great things. And then it's usually a different conversation, right? Like, so in other words, I want what you have until I get it. And then once I have it, I really don't care if I don't have it until I don't have it anymore. And that's exactly what's happening with me. And in my situation, of course, with my employer, if you guys have listened to the Disgruntled American podcast, I've been very outspoken and verbal about it, and that is the fact that I'm going to be out of work. Come the 10th, the law will go into place. I should say, not law. I apologize. Let me take that back. The mandate will go into effect where you have to either be vaccinated or test weekly to work at my place of employment. I am not vaccinated. I have had COVID. I have natural immunity. I will not be vaccinated. I will not get vaccinated, and I also will not. Um, I will not fall to weekly testing. I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. It's just not something that I'm willing to do. I know that I have a lot to offer. I take very, very well good care of myself. I wear a mask like everybody asks me to, but I will not test. And on top of that, it's weekly testing at my expense. So it's not even like the companies are going, hey, listen, we'll pay for you to get tested. They're not even offering that. They're telling me, listen, if you want to continue to work here, you're going to have to go get tested once every 7 days. Otherwise, you can't work here anymore. And I was told pretty frank that the situation is black and white. One, I hate that term. I don't like it. I think the world that we live in is anything but black and white. But I was told that it is a black and white situation, and that if I choose to continue to work in my current employer, that I'm going to have to submit this weekly testing. So, with that said, I can tell you wholeheartedly that that's not going to happen, and which brings me to where we are today, why we're here, and why I'm broadcasting live on YouTube, and why I'm getting this message out to you. So, my goal and hopes are very simple and are a lot like this. If I can continue to deliver content, if I can continue to do a live show daily, of course, with some sponsorships, maybe some affiliates, whatever, again, I'm reaching out to the audience. I'm reaching out to you for the help and support. If you guys want to go over and support the Bobby Couto Show at Patreon, also PayPal, buy me a coffee. I mean, it's everywhere. If you go to Anchor, actually the www.anchor.fm/the Bobby Couto Show, you can go there and you can also support the show as well. Again, I'm really making the commitment and I'm going all in. I am ready to move on with my life. I am ready to no longer live under the thumb of another. And again, if it's podcasting, if it's content, if it's who knows if it's starting another business, if it's I don't know exactly what the future holds for me, but what I can tell you is that I'm just going to continue to. I'm not going to just stay here. I'm not going to just be a rock. I want to keep moving. I want to keep generating conversation. Look, I can't be the only one in this situation. So I invite anyone who's out there and interested about what's going on with this in this current climate. Hit me up. Hit me up at the BobbyCoutoShow@gmail.com and send me an email or hit me on DM, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Just send me a message and let's talk. The goal of this show, just so we all know, just so that we have an idea, is really I want to provide. I've been a manager for a very very long time. I've been doing management type work forever, as long as I can remember. I've been doing it longer than I haven't. How about that? And I believe that I have something to offer. A lot of people will reach out to me very often with questions in regards to management style, management questions, employee situations, how to deal with certain situations. Fortunately, I've dealt with 99% of probably the issues that you're going to come across, whether it be on a corporate level, whether it be on a personal level. I've worked for the corporate world. I've worked for the private sector. I've had my own business. I've had a couple of my own businesses in different avenues, mechanics and RV and sporting goods. I mean, you name it. I've dabbled in a little bit of everything, but ultimately, at the end of the day, what I really truly am is a manager. That's in my heart. That's what I know how to do. So I'm hoping that the audience will join in at some point when we build a good solid audience, and you guys can call in at 508-475-9499, and we can talk about your managerial concerns. We can talk about your managerial issues, things that you might have problems with. Maybe you're just looking for an answer. Maybe you're just looking to vent out. Maybe you just want to hear what you already know. Sometimes validation is very, very important, especially when other people are at stake, when people are questioning your post, right? Your stature, who you are, and questioning. That happens all the time. When you're a manager, you are challenged daily. People are challenging you daily. People want the crown. That's just the way it is. And even if they don't want the crown, there's always the jester, right? There's always someone there that's going to question what you're doing, how you're doing it, when you're doing it, why you're doing it. It's just the nature of being a manager. It's the managerial world. And really, I think step one in responding to those who question us and our abilities is really is how we respond. It's I think it's not about what we say, it's about how we say it. When we are challenged, normally we feel vulnerable, right? We feel that we are being encroached upon. If I say, hey, I want this pencil here, and someone says, well, what if we moved it over here? And that, there's a couple things that are going on there. One, I'm a strong believer in the best idea always wins. So no matter what group we're in, if I make a suggestion and someone else makes a suggestion, and then at some point somebody makes a suggestion and we all agree that idea is the best idea, then majority rules. Let's do that. Let's give that a shot. But I will tell you, as a manager, I'm very much like a parent. Your kids can agree and you can all agree on certain things, but ultimately, as a parent, you make that ultimate decision. Whether it's a good idea, whether it's a bad idea, whether people's lives are going to be in danger, all those things you factor it all in, and ultimately you make that final decision. For me, I work very similar to that. I always offer it to everyone. The best idea always wins. We talk about it, and then if I feel that we've worked through it and we all realize the consequences of the action, then yeah, let's move forward with it. Let's make it work. Let's give it a shot, even if it's on a temporary basis. One, you're trying something new, and two, you're giving someone an opportunity to stand up and to have input. And really to get somebody to buy into your goals and your ideas and your 5-year plan. It's really giving people an opportunity to have a voice, right? If I feel like if I have a voice, if I'm contributing something, then I have skin in the game, right? Then that means that I want to be a part of what it is you're doing here. So, with that said, let people have skin in the game. Don't just let people just float around. Don't every day come in and doing the same thing over and over again, over and over again. The job may be the tasks may be the same, but we can stimulate people in many, many ways. And when I say that, it's about finding what makes people tick. You can have a successful team, but you can also have an absolute nightmare. It takes one person. It takes one person to poison the well, right? I always say this. Like if you have a well and there's just one person every day goes over there and pours a little bit of, let's just say, bleach in the water every day. More bleach, more bleach, more bleach. At first, it's not that bad because the bleach is killing the bacteria. But at some point, there's too much bleach in the water and everybody's getting poisoned, right? This is the same example. You can allow people to contribute. You can allow people to be a part of your ideas. But what you have to understand is ultimately at the end of the day, as a leader, as a manager, you have to own that idea, right? Even though it belongs to someone else, it ultimately is your responsibility. If that doesn't turn out right, if that goes terribly wrong, right? Just think about that. If that goes terribly wrong, you are going to be the one that's held responsible. That's fair to say, right? So by that, you know how much responsibility you need to put into the situation. So round that all up together and say to yourself, okay, I have a team, I have an idealism, and that idealism is the greatest idea always wins, and you process that information, right? Every day you're processing that information. How do we get better? What did we do yesterday that didn't work? What did we do yesterday that did work? And really working off that information and continuing that momentum, it becomes almost normal. You know what I mean? And then at some point, the almost goes away, and then it is normal. And it becomes every day you come in and you have a process. Your team knows your process. They're comfortable with it. They feel like they're contributing. They feel like they're part of something. And everybody wins. With that said, if you do have people who don't want to engage themselves, and we have those people, there are some people that, hey, listen, I want to go to work, I want to punch, and I want to go home. There are some people that do that, and that's okay because there are tasks in this world that we need those people to do. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's about finding the right fit for the right person. How do we get this person into this job? Maybe they're doing something today that they're not happy with, that they don't normally do. How do we get them in a position to be successful, right? That's the goal. And if it's cleaning the parking lot, it's cleaning the parking lot. If it's designing and splitting atoms, then it's designing and splitting atoms. None of this matters, ladies and gentlemen. The product, the end product, what you're actually manufacturing doesn't matter. Everything, I don't care if you're building airplanes or if you're building cardboard boxes, the process is always the same. It's about quality and consistency. And if you can maintain that, right? If you can maintain that, then you have a good product. Then you're successful. Because it's never the product, right? These people say, oh, that must have been built on a Friday. It's never the product. It's people. It's the element of people. People have different ideas, and people are hot and cold. So if it's a good day for somebody, things are great, things are going wonderful. If it's a bad day for somebody, your product may suffer a little bit, right? That's just the nature of what we do, and that's just a little bit. I wanted to give everybody just a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of information as far as how I see this podcast or this show going forward. So again, I invite everybody, like if you have a question, if you have some concerns, and you want to share it with the show, please either email thebobbycoutoshow@gmail.com, send me a DM on all of the social media. Believe me, we're on all of them. Or call the show. Or you can send me a text message as well at 508-475-9499. And I would love to get your information and maybe talk back a little bit and get people involved and have a little, some participation from the audience. It's me in the studio, and I'm opening my door and hoping that you guys will walk right in and join me. So great. So thank you. Welcome everybody to the very first episode of the Bobby Couto Morning Show. And today, again, I mentioned earlier, is January 4th. A couple of things I just want to talk about real quick, and then we'll kind of just, again, these segments aren't going to be too long. Really, it's going to depend on the participation of the audience and the people that are involved. But I just want to take a couple of. I had a couple of comments notes that I wrote down here that I wanted to share with you. And that really was a couple of things that are coming up. January 6th is right around the corner. We are literally 2 days away from that. So a couple of things are going to happen. January 6th, obviously, we all know the insurrection, and you're going to start hearing a lot about. A lot of politicians are going to start talking about Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump has been gone for the longest time, and all of a sudden now he's going to be coming back. And the reason he's going to be coming back is because of the midterms. The midterms are right around the corner, so the Democrats realize that they're in a shitstorm of trouble in regards to just their approval ratings, the way that the country is going, inflation, the price of everything. I think Americans are really realizing, and I think ultimately, I'll say this out loud, I think people are finally realizing and taking the corner on COVID, on the COVID vaccines. And I think people are actually realizing that, hey, wait a minute, this shit isn't helping. I mean, they're saying that people that are vaccinated are 7 times more likely to catch COVID than someone who had it and has natural immunity. How is that even possible? Well, again, I'm not a virologist. I don't pretend to be, but from what I understand is obviously the natural immunity. I mean, in all cases of our lives, I don't care who you are, everything that is natural is always better. It just is the way it is. I mean, you could try and say that this engineered vaccine is better than natural immunity, and then the answer for me is, again, I'm not a virologist, but I'm just from my own experience in life, I've always found that what is natural is always better than what is engineered and fabricated. So a lot of people now are getting sick. A lot of people getting vaccinated, boosters, everything else. It's like all of this noise really surrounding this one event, and this one event is really going to be obviously the 6th. I told you is going to be the insurrection, but on the 7th, on January 7th, the Supreme Court will hear arguments based on the vaccine mandate and whether or not it is constitutional for people who work in a company of 100 plus 1 employees, that they are forced to either get vaccinated or test every 7 days. I will tell you right now that the outcome of this decision by the court is really going to determine whether or not I have employment or continue to have employment. So with that said, this date is very, very important to me. So I will be listening. I hope that you will be listening as well to see how this all turns out, because I've never been in a situation where I was going to lose my job based on what the Supreme Court's judgment was going to be. This is really, I tell you, without disclosing my age, I will tell you that this is the first time in my life that the government has absolutely impacted me in this way, to the point where I will be unemployed because of a decision based on the government. Right? Is that okay to say that? I mean, I will tell you that I've had a couple of close calls in the past, including one when Barack Obama was president of the United States. I had changed my political affiliation. I was a registered Democrat, and I changed my political affiliation to independent. And wouldn't you know, as soon as I did that, I was audited by the IRS, and I've been audited ever since. Every year since I changed my political affiliation to independent, I have been audited by the government. And let me know if have you changed your political affiliation and noticed anything different? Because for me, it was very obvious. I mean, I was a Democrat my whole life, and then after the Obama elections and everything else went down, I changed my affiliation, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting IRS audits in the mail. I mean, granted, and luckily, nothing that we couldn't take care of. I mean, just really, literally some oversights. Nothing that was egregious, but it was just very odd that all happened. So that was kind of like my first round with government, and now here we are. This is my second round with government, and I don't know that I'm going to win. I don't know that I can win this one, guys. I don't know that this is something that I can fight, or how this is all going to turn out, because ultimately, I'm allowing someone else to control my destiny. And there's nothing I could do about it. There's really nothing I could do about it. I love the people that I work with. I will tell you that I'm extremely disappointed in management, ownership. Really, not really management. Oh, it would be ownership because I know I'm management, and the people that work with me feel the same way that I do. A lot of them, a lot like-minded is the word I'm looking for. So when you start getting into ownership and them being okay with something like this, that's kind of where this all, takes an ugly turn. And I got to be honest with you that I'm not sure even even if the Supreme Court finds or rules that this is unconstitutional, which is what I hope and think that they're going to do. I'm not quite sure that I want to continue working for a company that has these types of idealisms. Is that fair? And imposing these kind of mandates. I will tell you that there are other companies out there that I know the deadline is coming, right? The deadline is coming January 10th, but there are companies out there that are not reacting the same way that the company that I work for is reacting. I mean, my company is like all out. They're getting prepared. I mean, it's like we're going to war. It's like they're going to war. Is really what they're waiting for. And the message is very clear. On the 10th, if you are not vaccinated, you are obligated to take a test. And if you don't test, then you don't work there anymore. And the term that they're using, which is great, the term that they are using, which I have never heard before in my life, is voluntary termination. That's the term that they're using. I don't know. I haven't looked up the definition. You know what? Maybe I'll do that after the show today. I'll look up what's the definition of voluntary termination because I've never heard that term used before. I don't know what exactly. I don't know what that means, other than the fact of I'm voluntarily being terminated. Is that how that works? I'm not quite sure. So I don't. I'm not quitting my job, but I'm also not. I'm not also complying with your. I don't know, tyrannical ideas. So I'm not going to do that. So therefore, I will be unemployed and I cannot collect. So I guess that's really that's the plan. I guess if they say that I am voluntarily terminated, then they're not obligated to, or I will not be able to apply for unemployment benefits. Well, if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, and that's just the way we're going to go. But I will tell you, I will not relent. I find myself, I never toot my own horn, but I think I consider myself a smart, intelligent individual. I think that I've made some really great decisions in my life. I think if you were to ask anyone that's ever worked with me in the past, they will tell you that I'm pretty honest, truthful, and I keep my word. I'm a man of my word. If I can, I can. If I can't, I can't. Sometimes it sucks to hear things, but I would never keep something from you just to keep it from you. Sometimes you got to hear the bad news. Sometimes you got to hear this. It's the nature of the world that we live in. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But I will tell you that I have always been truthful and honest with everyone that I've ever worked with, and so that's kind of who I am inherently. That's the nature of my being. So I hope that this message makes some sense with you all, and I hope that maybe tomorrow we'll do this again tomorrow. And I figure, I think we can talk, but I think 8 o'clock is a good time. We could start at 8 o'clock and maybe do like an hour of the show. We could do that daily and see how that all goes, right? So let's do that and let's see where this takes us. I just want to say a couple things here before we walk out, and that is. Rest in peace to Mrs. Betty White. I mean, it's just, literally, she was, I think her birthday was on January 17th. She would have been 100 years old. So, 99 years of amazing, amazing life. 60 years of entertainment that she provided to people. I mean, she just trendsetter. She broke all the rules, especially when, women's rights, when women were fighting for those rights, she was right there and she right up that chain, man, and she kept it. And I will tell you, nobody more gracious and cool than Betty White. I mean, who is more cool than Betty White? You know what I mean? Nobody. So I want to just hats off to her. And that's pretty much the show today, everybody. I just wanted to get, this is, I apologize if this is a little hokey. It really was just about, I wanted to test a couple of things. I've never broadcast live on YouTube before, so this is a first time on YouTube. So I'm hoping that maybe we get a following or an audience on that. And again, it's really going to come down to your participation and what you want to hear. I want to make this show live. I want to make it organic. I would like to pick up some topics. Maybe every day we bring up a topic, but for the most part, I would really like it to be an open platform, open mic. Let people come on in. Let's talk about work. Let's talk about managerial issues. Let's talk about building, blueprints for the future. What's the 5-year plan? And we could do all that, and I want to do that with you. And I think we could do that together. And I think we could all be very, very successful. If you haven't done so already, please go support my friend Sam Led Consulting, the Fearless Now podcast, available on Apple. Also, my dear friends Steve and Joe and myself from the Disgruntled American podcast. If you haven't had a chance, go check that out. Also available on Apple, and of course the Bobby Couto Show. We are actually, I'm recording episode 61, and I believe that's going to be with Gary. I think I'm going to have Gary come in. And if you guys don't know, Gary is an amazing economist. He really has a pulse on global economy. Really what's going on with our finances, our global financial system. He's really in touch with that. So again, if you're into that, it's a great conversation. Always love having Gary come in. And I believe that'll be episode 61. We'll probably record that towards the end of the week. But up until then, I hope that you guys will embrace the new show, the morning show with Bobby Couto. And who knows, maybe we'll bring some guests in here, have some early people in, and just try again. Something different, something new, not as, committed as a full, 2-hour episode of a podcast, but more so a daily wake up, kind of get you off the ground. Here's some quick information. Here's some quick cheat sheets for you. Get out there and tackle the world and win, and just help people win. Just show people how to win and give you that advantage, right? Because, we can all win. And I hope, listen, and I will say this out loud. I hope all of you, to all the Antonio Browns in the world, listen, this is the world we need to live in. I think in closing, I think we are all just we've been holding on to something so tightly because we're afraid to lose it. And unfortunately, in doing so, when you're busy doing that, when you're busy protecting that, there are other things happening around you that you can't get your arms out, and you can't grab these opportunities because you're so enclosed and you're so tight on protecting what you have right now. But the question I ask you is, what exactly do you have right now? What is it exactly that is helping you with your life? Is the government helping you with your life? Is that happening? I just curious. Is your neighbor helping you? Is the guy down the street helping you? Because I find that I am now on my own. I am by myself. There are a few people in my life that are not vaccinated, but for the most part, most people are vaccinated. So that's always a very awkward conversation, and they continue to keep getting awkward, and they don't get any easier. And people are getting more and more angry, and I believe the fuel of that anger is the fact that they've been vaccinated 3 times and potentially going on a 4th, and nobody's getting better. People are still getting sick. If you told me, hey, listen, you're vaccinated and you're not gonna get sick, then why wouldn't I get the vaccine, ladies and gentlemen? Why wouldn't I do that? Okay, so so you get the second one, and then I tell you, hey, listen, here's the second one. You're not gonna get sick, and then you get sick again, and then I say, well, I'll tell you what, here's a third one. You're not gonna get sick, and then you get sick. I honestly believe at some point people are like, wait a minute here, like this doesn't make any sense. And the reason I know that that's happening is because there are certain people in my life that I love dearly, and we don't always agree. But even those people are coming to me and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, like something's not right here. So I think where we are right now is a very pivotal moment in mankind, in history, because I think at any moment that ice will crack. I think we're on the ice. It's cracking. And I think at some point, when you get enough people standing on the ice, at some point the ice can no longer withstand the weight, and it breaks. And I think that's where we are right now. I think the ice is starting to crack, and I think you have a lot of people vaccinated or not vaccinated. It's not even a question of whether or not It's a question of what's right and what's actually working and not working. So I want to tell everybody thank you so very much for being here. I just one quick warning before we leave you today and see you tomorrow is really just I invite you all to just really think about the consequences of what we're doing. You know, most people will say, "Well, I already got one, so I might as well get the second one." Listen, you could stop at any time. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You know, I raised my kids under that philosophy. You do not have to do anything you don't want to do. That is why we live in this great country. You know, any of us, if you were to take all your assets and sell all your assets right now, sell everything, and you would take all that money that you sold, all your assets, right, and you put it in a bag, and you were to fly out to some tropical island somewhere, you know, let's just say somewhere around the world, you could live rich for the rest of your life. You know that? You wouldn't have to work. You could, you know what? Perfect example, Colombia. You could take everything you own right now. If you sold your house, you sold your car, you sold all your belongings, sell them all. Sell everything. I mean, what do you need? Some clothes? Sell everything. Take your money, fly out over Colombia, and you could go there and buy 100 acres of land for $10, and you could literally live the rest of your life on the money that you've earned here in this country. So the reason I'm saying that is because the reason why we live here, the reason why we pay and why it's so expensive to live in this country is because of freedom, right? We have freedom. We have the ability to know that we can go and do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it. We know that there are safeties in place, like there are police officers that are going to protect people in the event of danger. There are firefighters that are going to rescue people in the event of a catastrophic event. There are medics that are available 24/7 in the event that you have a medical situation. These are the bonuses, right? These are the attributes of living amongst society, right? So if you're no longer getting this from society, right? I pay my taxes, and there are certain things that I expect. For example, when it snows, I expect that the plow trucks are going to plow the snow. If that doesn't happen, if nobody's plowing the snow, then what's the point? What am I contributing to? You keep taking more and more of my tax money, but yet I'm getting less and less and less. We're defunding the police, right? And so now I don't have so my money. What is it that what am I participating in? And so the question is, do you turn in your citizen card, right? Do I not want to participate amongst society anymore? Do I not want to be amongst my fellow Americans anymore? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, because ultimately this is the space that we are living in right now. What are you getting for your money? Ask yourself that question. What are you getting for your money? If you go to the grocery store and you buy $300 worth of groceries and you walk out with $150 worth of groceries, there's $150 worth of groceries that are missing. You should be questioning that. You don't just load up your groceries and drive home and you're short $150 worth of groceries. These are the things that you need to question. This is the space that we're living in. And I'm hoping that the Bobby Couto Show Live every morning is going to give you a little bit of insight and really help you understand that this is the direction that the show is going to go. I want to help you all. I want to make you realize that, what exactly is happening out there isn't always right. It's not always CNN. It's not always MSNBC. This is you. This is your family. These are the important things. And I think you need to hear from someone like me who isn't driven by some type of ideal or narrative. Right? I will always be upfront and honest with you. I'm not sold. I'm not being paid. I don't have an agenda. Ultimately, you know what? Let me take it that I do have an agenda. I love my country. I love you. I love America. I love the people that live in this country. I love the immigrants that are here in this country, people that have coming over and have applied for citizenship and have become citizens and are participating amongst our society. I love you, and I'm so glad that you're here. On the other side of that coin, there are a lot of people in this country that have lost sight of what this country is about. And they've lost sight about how it is we coexist as a society. And it can't be like a 70-30 thing. It can't be, right? It can't be like 80-20. We need 100%. Everybody's got to be all in. Everybody's got to be all in. So that's pretty much today's episode. Tomorrow, a couple of things I want to talk about. If you guys will be here. Actually, I want to talk about homelessness. I want to talk about the A lot of people say it's a drug problem. It's a drug problem. Look, I think we have. I honestly think we have a mental health problem. I think that's really the big question here is: are people addicted to drugs, or are people mentally unstable and inept and unable to take care of themselves? And I think that's when you start talking about San Francisco, Venice Beach, you start talking about Boston, the Methadone Mile. It's just over inundated with a bunch of homeless people that really, and they keep saying, the news, they're getting them homes. Okay, that's fine. You can get them shelter, right? So you get them off the street, you get them out of tents, but what are you doing for them long term? What is the long term solution for these people who desperately need medical attention, right? So that's tomorrow's show. We'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, I'll be on the lookout. Guys, hit us up. The Bobby Couto Show at gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to take your questions, comments, anything. Like I said, just shoot it my way, and we'll see it on tomorrow morning's show. So until then, everyone, I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much for being a part of this very first inaugural Bobby Couto Show live episode. And I look forward to it. You know what? 1,000 later? Who knows? Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing. Always remember, guys, that all roads lead here.